Welcome back. We are in C. C is for counting. So this is super simple and super amazing and super effective, and you can do it anytime, just like the breath in the last video. C is for counting. Count. When you are very anxious or even angry, it works for anger too, which is interesting, right? So when you're very angry or anxious, count to 10. But if you're really anxious or angry, count to 100. Thomas Jefferson said that about anger, but the same thing is happening for fear, because when we feel the anger or the fear and the anxiety, what we're actually feeling is the chemicals of cortisol and the adrenaline. And it's so important to realize in the moment when you're feeling the anxiety to remember, oh, this is chemicals that I don't want to feel. What can I do? How can I stop the chemicals from being dumped? That's the strategy, because so the chemicals are already being poured out, right? So I want to know how I can stop them and how to put it down, and then manage the ones that have already been dumped. That's really what it is. Let's get real practical here, okay? So the way that we learned in the last video is by one of the ways is by turning on the parasympathetic nervous system. That calms us down, and then we're no longer dumping the chemicals because we're no longer in the sympathetic nervous system. And what counting does is it changes us into a different part of our brain so that we are no longer dumping those chemicals that we don't want to feel. So basically what happens is that when we are triggered, as if there's that tiger or that text or whatever it is, the psychological threat that then gives us the anxiety, our amygdala, which is an emotional center in the back, like right around here, gets triggered with the chemicals, the adrenaline and the cortisol start flooding through the nervous system. And so what we want to do is we want to get out of the amygdala. We want to get out of the emotional reactive center. I mean, think about this. Let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic and you get triggered and they scream at you and you scream back. That is not your highest self. That is not your best self. That is an emotional reaction because you are using a primitive part of your brain. Now, what we want to do is we want to turn on the front of our brain, the neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, and the way that we turn on the front of the brain is through, you got it, through counting. So when we count, we are literally bringing our attention from our emotional center into our logical, rational center. And once we are our logical, rational sense ourselves, then we can choose to, instead of react, we can choose to respond to whatever's going on. So when you feel anxious, start counting. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to double up here, you can count and breathe. This is what I really love. Now that we know the breathing, we can also count and breathe. So as you breathe, you can count up to 5, count down to 5, or count individual breaths. Let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's take 2 breaths. Let's count to 5 as we breathe. In your mind, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's count up as we inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now not only have you turned on your parasympathetic nervous system, you brought your attention from your amygdala, from the emotional center, to the rational center, the front part of your brain. So enjoy that. Know that you have these game changers in your pocket anytime you're breathing and you're counting. And this is a scientific way to absolutely calm you down.